Episode 273, August Bank Holiday. So, if you're listening to this, watching this outside of the UK or Ireland, August Bank Holiday probably means absolutely nothing to you. I'm not sure the full list of countries that would have today off. Today is the August Bank Holiday in 2020. But there's an interesting bit of history behind it. So, I do a podcast about bank holidays and how they work in Ireland and the UK. But essentially, they're when banks are closed, and for the most part, they're also public holidays. So today, for example, in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, it is the August Bank Holiday. Banks are shut. And no one's in work, Well, I work an unusual week, so I'm off Mondays anyway, so it doesn't make a huge lot of difference to me. But for most people, in normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, whatever type jobs, it's a day off. But what's really sort of interesting is there is a difference between Ireland, the Republic, and Northern Ireland. They actually have it at the end of August and not the beginning, So it's the same in England and Wales. Interestingly enough, though, Scotland still has it today. So Scotland and the Republic of Ireland have it at the beginning of August, the first Monday in August, and the other countries don't. So I wanted to find out why this was the case. Most of the holidays that we have in the Republic, bank holidays, public holidays, they actually date back to when Ireland was part of the UK. Before 1922, going back and back and back, So a lot of these holidays came about, over hundreds of years, really, for all sorts of reasons, So the modern, shall we say, I think around the 1870s, I found a little bit of a history of it here. Let's just scroll down the screen here. So originally, I think it was the 1870s. So the idea with the August Bank Holiday is... it's meant to be one of the final holidays of the summer before people go back to work, children go back to school. It's meant to be like a holiday before that occurs, And it was decided upon the first Monday in August, and I think that there is a person who decided upon this, and I think it's quite interesting. I'm just going to see if I can find it. It's the Bank Holidays Act of 1871. So yeah, back then the Republic of Ireland was part of the UK. And basically, there was somebody who liked cricket, who obviously wrote the act, and the first Monday in August was important on the cricket calendar. So the idea was that people have the holidays in August, kids are off school, boom, no one watch the cricket. So that's how it became the first. That's why it is the first Monday in August. Okay. But for some reason, it was changed. There was a trial period between 1965 and 1970 for just England, Wales and Northern Ireland, whereby they made it the last bank holiday, last Monday was the bank holiday in August. So the last Monday in August. And basically, the reason being, I believe, is because it was closer to children going back to school. So it was like the last main holiday of the year before kids go back to school, So there's a trial period of about 5 years, and I mean, they must have liked it so much that they made it law in 1971, the Banking and Financial Dealings Act 1971. So this is in the UK now, this is in the Republic of Ireland, obviously. 100 years later, 1971, obviously the Republic of Ireland was no longer part of the UK. So it wasn't changed in the UK. I also note it wasn't changed in Scotland either, and I have a few ideas why that didn't change in Scotland. So, in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, in Scotland, it's the first Monday in August. England, Wales, Northern Ireland, it's the last Monday in August, and it's basically a bank holiday. If you work for a company, it's a holiday that you've given, that you paid for, but you don't have to work. Boom. Okay. So it's interesting. The reasoning behind changing at the end of August sort of makes sense. Most schools don't go back before the end of August, beginning of September. So yeah, sort of makes sense to have that then. I think the difference with Northern Ireland is an interesting one. I'm not quite sure why Northern Ireland changed with England and Wales, but I know the laws of England and Wales are different. Not all of them, but some of them. The legal system is different than Scotland. So it sort of makes sense that England and Wales, would change at the same time to a different day as part of the legal system, part of the law that came out. And Scotland wouldn't unless it had an equivalent law, which it didn't. So now we have an odd situation that north of the border in Northern Ireland, it's not a bank holiday today, it's the end of the month. But here it is, it's a holiday, and people do go away for it. I mean, we were in the middle of the COVID pandemic. I think people did a lot of staycations. I think it was Saturday. Saturday was the 1st of August, and obviously they've ramped up the flights because I've only sort of recently discovered I'm in the flight path. I think because starting at pretty early, about 5:30 a.m. On Saturday, the 1st of August, the flights started, and they were continuous, like one every couple of minutes, up until I'd say about maybe 10, 11 a.m. And there was a bit of a lull during the daytime, and then in the evening they started again. So obviously people were capitalising on the short working week of the 4 days. They're getting paid for the Monday without working, and they were flying out. They're going all over the place. Now, I didn't specifically see any US flights, but I did see a lot of Spanish flights, Portugal, places like that. And I know someone that's going to Portugal I work with who's going in a couple of weeks' time. So it's quite an interesting time of year, August. It's the last push before the kids go back to school, if you like, and everybody wants to get at the sunshine. It's actually quite sunny out. I've a blackout blind. I've pulled it down quite a bit actually because I was getting quite a lot of glare on one side of my face. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I've got to sort of make the effort, haven't I? But so August. It's an interesting month in terms of holidays. Traditionally, the schools in Ireland and the UK would be off this period. They've actually been off since March. They've not been going in since March because of the COVID pandemic. Now, it's still up in the air as to whether schools will go back. Ireland has changed its unlocking the lockdown, but I think they're still pushing ahead with the schools going back. Pubs were meant to be open in August. I don't think they will be now. It could be September. But the kids are definitely going back to school at the end of the month. So I'd say there's lots of parents, excuse me for rubbing my nose, there's lots of parents getting real excited now because getting rid of the kids back to school. And they've literally had them in the house since March. And that's a tough gig now. Okay, the lockdown's not as strict now. You can go out, you can move around and things like that. But even so, we still got to be careful. In Ireland, it's pretty suppressed, the pandemic. There's a little creep up as they unlock things, but not as bad as some other countries who experience some really bad second peaks now across Europe, and Australia's having it very bad at the moment. But touch wood, that's not happening here, So August bank holiday, an interesting month in the year. I understand the history of August is it was inserted into the calendar, which I think is why July has 31 days and so does August. I don't know, there was meant to be a sequence to the number of days, wasn't there, in the month, but so it's a bank holiday Monday, the summer bank holiday, and for some, just a quirk of fate and the legal system, Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, ended up being synchronised with Scotland, and not Northern Ireland, on the island of Ireland, so interesting.